There's a small everyday shift you can make that can help your dog feel more understood almost instantly. It's not dramatic and it won't change your routine in any overwhelming way, but it tends to open a quiet space where your dog feels seen in a way they didn't before. Once you recognize that, it becomes hard to go back to the old rhythm. And today, we're going to uncover several of these subtle but meaningful habits. If you want to keep discovering these gentle improvements together, consider liking the video and subscribing. Number 1. The bedtime emotional exchange. It's strange how the moments right before sleep reveal more about your dog than the entire rest of the day. When the world finally quiets, you start noticing tiny details in their breathing or the way they settle their weight near you, as if they've been waiting for that stillness. Your own mind softens then too, and without realizing it, your emotions shift in a way your dog can feel almost instantly. There's a warmth in those minutes that seems to melt whatever distance the day created, letting both of you remember the bond underneath the noise. In that soft space, something subtle happens in their brain, almost like they're reaffirming who you are to them and who they are with you. And once you feel that connection deepen, it becomes harder to rush through the end of the night the way most people do. Number 2. The 10-second silent bond ritual. Most people don't realize that a few seconds of quiet eye contact can calm a dog more effectively than most of the things we're told to try. There's something disarming about holding their gaze softly, without commands or expectations, as if you're letting them speak first for once. Your dog feels that shift immediately, because in those wordless moments, your attention lands on them in a way that steadies their whole nervous system. It's not about staring or asserting anything. It's the opposite, really. Just a gentle acknowledgement that tells them they're safe and seen. And in that tiny pause, their body relaxes, their breath evens out, and a deeper kind of trust settles in. Which is why, once you've experienced that quiet connection, you start noticing how often your dog has been searching for it in the background of your day. Number 3. Practicing consent-based affection. There's a quiet kind of peace that comes from giving your dog affection in a way that actually feels good to them. When you slow down enough to notice their small reactions, the lean in, the pause, the subtle shift away, you start to realize how often they've been politely enduring touch they didn't really want. It's not rejection, it's simply your dog trying to communicate with a softness they hope you'll understand. And when you pause for just a moment after a few gentle strokes, their response tells you everything. The nudge that says more, or the stillness that means that's enough for now. That tiny act of checking in builds a kind of trust that feels deeper than any amount of enthusiastic petting. And once you feel how your dog's body relaxes when they choose the connection instead of accepting it out of habit, you begin to wonder how many other conversations you've both been quietly having without words. Number 4. The overlooked tension zones. You notice it the moment your hand drifts across your dog's chest after a long day and they exhale in that deep, relieved way that almost sounds like gratitude. It's easy to forget that dogs carry tension just like we do, storing little knots of stress between their toes or right across that chest-shoulder line where they hold so much of their daily effort. When you slow down and touch those places gently, you can feel how their body softens under your fingers, as if they've been waiting for someone to notice the pressure they can't shake on their own. It becomes a small ritual, almost meditative, where you're not trying to fix anything, just helping them remember what comfort feels like in their own skin. And the more consistently you offer that quiet release, the more ease you start seeing in the way they walk, the way they stand, even the way they behave when the world feels a little overwhelming. And once you've seen that shift, it's hard not to wonder how much calmer their days could be, with just a bit more of that gentle attention. Number 5. Allowing real choice and agency. And once you notice that, you start to see something else. Dogs make almost no independent choices in daily life. It's a blunt truth that feels heavier the moment it lands, because you realize how often you've directed every step, every pause, every outcome without meaning to. Your dog learns to move around your preferences so quietly that you forget they even have their own, and that silence slowly shapes how they see themselves. But the moment you give them a small chance to choose, to take a different path, to linger somewhere, to gently decline a cue, their whole posture shifts in this subtle, confident way. You can almost feel their mind waking up, like they're remembering they're not just following life, but participating in it. And when you see that spark of agency return, it becomes clear how much your dog has been waiting for a chance to show you who they are, not just who they're told to be. Number 6, giving your dog a purposeful role. And once you see that spark of agency return, it's almost natural to notice the moments when your dog looks like they're waiting for something to do. I watched a dog trot through a living room with this quiet determination, carrying a single sock like it was a mission. And it struck me how deeply dogs crave a sense of purpose. Your own dog feels that same pull, that subtle desire to contribute in a way that feels meaningful, even if the task is small or entirely invented. When you give them a real role guarding the hallway, helping you pick up items, announcing visitors, their body language changes in the most beautiful, grounded way. You can see the satisfaction settle into them, as if they finally understand the shape they're meant to take inside your home. And when you acknowledge their effort with genuine appreciation, you're not just praising them. You're reinforcing their sense of self in a way they carry long after the moment passes. Number 7, matching energy before redirecting, which makes you wonder why matching your dog's energy matters so much in those tense moments. There's a shift that happens when you meet them where they are instead of pulling them toward where you want them to be. Almost like you're speaking their emotional language before offering guidance. Your dog feels that instant recognition, that quiet message that says you understand the state they're in, rather than correcting it from the outside. And once they feel seen, their body softens just enough for you to help them transition into something calmer, without forcing it. It becomes a gentle dance, a way of inviting them back into balance instead of dragging them there. And the trust that grows from that is surprisingly steady. And the more you practice that subtle attunement, the more your dog begins to look to you not just for direction, but for emotional grounding they can't create on their own. Number 8, the daily micro-brain game. And once your dog starts relying on you for that emotional grounding, you start noticing how their mind craves something else entirely. It makes you wonder, how often does your dog actually get to think in a way that feels satisfying to them? There's a different kind of brightness that appears when they're using their nose to solve a tiny puzzle, almost like you've unlocked a part of their brain that spends most of the day half asleep. When you hide just a bit of their regular food in a corner or under a blanket, you're not giving them a treat. You're giving them the joy of seeking, the thrill of discovering, the quiet confidence of having figured something out on their own. Their whole body shifts as they search, becoming focused yet peaceful, driven but not frantic, as if the world narrows to a game that's just challenging enough to feel good. And when they finally find what they were looking for, you can almost see their mind exhale, grateful for a moment that made them feel capable rather than contained. Number 9, structured variation in routine. Most people don't realize that sticking to the exact same routine every day can quietly make a dog more rigid instead of more secure. At first, it feels comforting to keep things predictable. But over time, you start to notice how even small disruptions unsettle them more than they should. Your dog clings to the familiar because it's all they're given, not because it actually helps them grow or feel adaptable in the world. When you introduce tiny variations, a new walking direction, a different pause point, a brief change in the order of your day, you can almost see their minds stretch in a gentle, healthy way. They begin to handle shifts with a looser body, a calmer expression, as if they're learning that change isn't something to brace against, but something they're capable of navigating. And eventually you realize that these little ripples of unpredictability aren't inconveniences at all, but small invitations for your dog to become just a bit braver with each passing day. Reaching the end of this, there's a certain tenderness in realizing how many unspoken moments shape the relationship you have with your dog. And if you felt yourself nodding along or remembering little scenes from your own life, that already says more about your care than you might believe. The real meaning here is that your dog feels loved in the smallest, quietest exchanges, the ones that slip by unless you pause long enough to see them. And carrying that awareness into tomorrow can make your time together feel fuller, richer, and more honest. That awareness also opens the door to something even deeper, the lifelong acts of love your dog quietly hopes you'll share with them, even if they never find a way to ask. Those hopes span every chapter of their life, shaping how they see home, safety, and you. And if you want to keep exploring that gentle truth, The next part of the journey is right ahead.